So I went from running a failing career coaching business and also working 40 hours plus a week as a pharmacist with over $300,000 in student loan debt to making over $300,000 a month. And it's all because of YouTube. And now my main channel has over 1 million subscribers. I'm the biggest career coach on YouTube. And the reason I'm telling you this is because I'm gonna be sharing with you the most valuable YouTube training in this video that you'll ever watch. And this is coming from someone who's put in multiple tens of thousands of hours on YouTube. And these are strategies that I had to figure out the difficult way, right? Like I made every mistake under the sun. And that's why I'm gonna be sharing with you what you should do and more importantly, what you shouldn't do. So you don't have to go through the years of pain and struggle and soul searching that I went through. So I got everything organized in this flow chart that I made. And honestly, I'm just gonna walk you through step by step exactly what works. So whether you're a YouTuber that wants to learn how to make money on YouTube or learn how to do YouTube without spending like 40 to 60 hours a week on a video, or you're a business owner that wants to make money on YouTube, or you're just a total beginner that's never done YouTube before and you want to bypass making all the mistakes, just figure out exactly what works, then this video is going to be perfect for you. And all that I ask is you gently tap the like button. And if you get results from this video, you get any value out of it, go ahead and comment below. I don't sell any information on this channel. I give all the sauce away completely free. That's my philosophy on life. I like to give value and expect nothing in return. And so this video is going to be more valuable than like $5,000 YouTube coaching programs that you might have taken in the past, or $1,000 YouTube courses. So let's jump into this right now. And we're going to be talking about the most valuable YouTube training you'll ever watch, 10,000 hours plus of experience. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the YouTube ecosystem. So first of all, let's talk about traditional lead gen costs. So traditionally, the way that businesses actually get leads and actually get clients is going to be advertising. All right, so Meta, Facebook, Instagram, Google Ads, etc. Then you've got cold DMs, cold messaging, and kind of like cold outreach. So you could be cold calling people. And you know, both of these actually have the same issue, especially if you're using Meta as a platform. Your ad accounts are probably going to get banned. Your ads are going to get suspended for absolutely no reason. You might get shadow banned for no reason, et cetera, et cetera. And if you're using Facebook or Instagram as a platform and you're doing cold outreach or even outreach to your own audience, they're going to limit you. They're going to ban you. They're going to shadow ban you. You know, people can report your account and you just get banned for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And then you got to go pay some sketchy person like, you know, thousands of dollars to get your account back. So if you're a coach and you've posted on Instagram, you probably experienced this. And then of course, there's the cost of personnel, right? So you got to have salaries and wages for your staff, and this can be extremely costly, especially when you're using one of these methods, the cold outreach or paid ads, and then all of a sudden your account gets disabled and you have zero income coming in, right? Like then you got to start thinking, oh, am I going to have to lay my entire team off? And that sucks, right? You don't want to have to think like that. So these are traditional lead gen costs. Anyone who has done this consistently and they've actually tried to scale this will tell you that it basically works like this, right? It's a graph. And on this axis, you've got leads. And then on this axis, you've got cost. And as you acquire more leads, your cost to acquire the lead goes up. So this is basically any lead generation method, right? Whether you're doing paid ads, you know, and you're running the ads and they work really well when you're spending, let's just say $100 a day. But the moment you ramp that up to $500 or $1,000 a day, all of a sudden your cost to acquire a customer, your cost to acquire a lead goes up tremendously. And if you're doing cold outreach, it's the same thing because you're going to be contacting more and more people that are less qualified. When you first start, you're likely going to be contacting highly qualified people. But as you try to scale, you're going to have to contact people who aren't as qualified. And so therefore, your cost to acquire a lead is going to go up as well. Additionally, the more people you hire and the more complex your system gets, people that you would have closed or people that would have gotten followed up with start to slip through the cracks, right? And so that makes your costs go up too. And the bottom line is it just becomes harder and harder for you to get leads or to get sales, right? And the reason for this is because let's just say, you know, it's like a hill, right? This is where you are down here, right? And you're making, let's just say, I don't know, you're making like 10K to 30K per month. A lot of people get stuck around here. And of course, you know, I work with clients sometimes that are already making 7 figures a month, but a lot of people get stuck around this range, like 10 to 30K per month. And up here is where you want to be, right? So right now you're just making like a single dollar sign, and up here is where you want to be. You want to be making $3 signs. So you want to be making at least 100K per month, right? That's when you really have a lot of freedom in your business. That's when your margins are really good. You know, after even paying people, you're making a ton of money. But the problem is there's a ton of other people that are trying to do the exact same thing, AKA there's competition. And it's always getting harder and harder. And if you ever stop, at the end of the day, it's just you who's chasing the leads, right? It's you who's chasing the revenue. You are reaching out to people and you are trying to get them to come to you. And it's always just gonna be this uphill battle. It's gonna be this uphill slog where the moment you stop going forward, it's almost like a mud hill, right? You're gonna start sliding back down this muddy hill. Whereas when it comes to YouTube, it's a little bit different, okay? So you're on this hill, and once you make the content, you know, you're down here, right? All these clients, it's just, they start sliding down the hill and coming to you, right? With YouTube, the clients, the leads, the sales, they come to you. You put the content out there, you build it, and they go to you. So just as an example, you know, I remember I was a career coach and I was trying to help people get jobs and I was trying to be the best career coach that I could be. And I constantly had to chase career coaching clients, right? So I was always slogging up this hill trying to get new clients while I was also trying to deliver results for my existing clients. And it was just such a massive headache. And you know, I would get to 10K per month. I would even have some months where I got even above that, but I'd always be stuck in that range because the moment I would take my focus off of marketing and sales and put it on something else, like making sure my clients get better results, making my product better, etc., I would just start sliding down the hill. But when I started doing YouTube, it was completely different because I would just make videos, and every single one of these little videos, these little YouTube videos, right? They would be like a little soldier that was doing all the work for me. And people would all of a sudden start coming to me. And it actually got to the point very quickly where I literally couldn't even handle all of the clients and I had to change my business model. Like, that's how effective YouTube was. I had too many clients, which is a quality problem to have. And the craziest thing is the amount of clients I was getting was just the beginning. Because not only is YouTube incredible when it comes to lead generation and acquiring clients, but much more importantly than that, it's incredible when it comes to building authority, right? And converting viewers into high ticket sales or selling them on whatever product or affiliate product or whatever you're trying to sell on your channel, right? So just as an example, these are some of the clients that I've worked with. So Sean, for instance, he was stuck around that 30K per month mark, and he was stuck here for like 3 years, okay? This is an example. I mean, this happens to so many people. He was stuck around that 30K per month mark for 3 years. Sometimes he was even doing less than that. And when he started implementing the strategies that I'm gonna teach you in this video, he went from 30K per month to over 500K per month in less than 9 months. In fact, I just had an interview with him last week. He got to over $600,000 a month in less than 9 months doing this. And Sean basically teaches people Kindle Direct Publishing, KDP. It's where you write books and then put them on Amazon, basically, right? So it's a really good biz op offer. Wiz as well was already an expert on personal branding. He's an absolute beast when it comes to like LinkedIn and Twitter, for instance. And when we started working with him on his YouTube channel and he started following my methods, he basically grew his subscribers by 10x. He closed well over $100,000 worth of deals directly from YouTube. But the crazy thing is that almost every single client who hired him first watched one of his YouTube videos, and that had been a part of their journey. So indirectly, he probably closed like far, far more than over 100,000. And you know, he said you don't need crazy camera equipment or crazy lighting. He uses the most basic stuff, and that's all thanks to Shane's strategy. So he was basically just recording his screen and just yapping off the top of his head about what he's already an expert at. And this is a comment from him. He said, "Bro, we cracked YouTube because of you. Anytime I want to get leads, I just post a video," right? So his problem now is not leads. Leads are completely taken care of. He's got other problems in his business. And wouldn't it be nice if you didn't have a problem with leads or client acquisition? Wouldn't that be a nice thing to have, right? That's a pretty quality problem to have. And this is a problem that my clients often have, okay? Now, of course, I had my main channel, and that channel has over 1 million subscribers now. But what I did just to prove that this works incredibly well, because some people would say, oh, well, you know, Shane, you had that main channel and it worked for you when you started your channel, but it doesn't work anymore. So what I did to prove that this works is I started a brand new channel from scratch. It had 0 subscribers. And within 30 days, I got this channel to 30K per month. Okay. And after that, I kind of just like left the channel alone. I barely even worked on it, and it produced a ridiculous amount of sales. Okay. So we were still producing sales directly from this channel, even though I was barely working on it. And the videos that I posted weren't getting that many views, right? So I purposely handicapped myself. I posted Loom videos. I was using iPhone earbuds most of the time when I was posting these videos. And I basically made rules for myself saying that I could only spend a total of 4 hours per week on the channel. So I had all these rules handicapping myself with this channel, and I still made it to 30K per month in the first 30 days. And we've done a ton of sales after that from this channel alone, okay? So on top of that, here's my main channel. Right now it's over, I believe, 1.2 million subscribers. The estimated revenue just from AdSense alone is over 1 million, right? So I think this year alone, I think last month I did 74,000 in AdSense. The month before I did $72,000 in AdSense. So this year alone, it's a possibility that we might make it to pretty close to $1 million in AdSense just from AdSense, right? These are just the ads that pop up on my channel, right? And then of course, we're making a lot more from other methods, okay? So whether you want to start a channel that doesn't get that many views and it's kind of a niche channel, which by the way, works a lot better for a lot of people out there. In fact, I'd say most niches out there, this method works better. Or you want a channel that, gets millions of views a month, just like my main channel, you can make it work and you can make a ton of money. With that being said, some of the niche channels that I work with, I know one channel that gets 100, 200 views per video. They make 2 million a year. I know another channel that gets about 500 to 1,000 views per video, and they made over $10 million last year. Okay, so niche channels, if you're targeting the right audience, which is what I'm going to talk about in this video, can make a ton of money, even if it doesn't seem like they're successful on the outside. And let's talk about how to do this. And this is what I like to call the positioning matrix. So there's basically 3 main ways that you can position yourself. You can position yourself as an expert, you can position yourself as an enthusiast, and you can position yourself as a learner. And all 3 of these ways have their advantages and disadvantages. And positioning is really important, by the way, when it goes from getting views to actually making sales. Okay, positioning is the very beginning, right? Choosing your niche is important, and we'll talk about that a little bit, but positioning arguably is even more important when it comes to converting people from views to actual sales. And on YouTube, if you position yourself correctly, you can actually get paid to do marketing, right? You're literally getting paid advertising money, right? Like AdSense in this case, right? To market. You're getting paid to market your own products and services. Unlike just about any other advertising method where you have to pay to market your products and services. So I'm getting paid nearly $1 million a year to market my products and services. So that's why you really need to pay attention to this. So let's talk about the 3 ways of positioning yourself. Now, first, you could position yourself as an expert. This is the most common way of positioning, especially if you're selling like a high ticket product. And this is great if you basically want to appeal to high-level operators within your niche. However, this can actually be hard to relate to for beginners. So for B2B, this is almost always going to be the right choice. If you're selling to a B2B audience, you pretty much want to position yourself as an expert. But for beginners, this can actually be unrelatable. I mean, think about it. If somehow I hired LeBron James as my basketball coach, do you think I would get better results than if I just hired the local, basketball coach at my local gym or local high school or college? Probably not. The local basketball coach would probably get me better results than LeBron James because that guy is so high level at basketball and I'm at such a low level, right? I'm like maybe like a 3 out of 10 at basketball, and LeBron James is like a 13 out of 10, right? That I probably wouldn't even be able to learn from him. And even if he did teach me the basics, it would be overkill. And the stuff that he probably talks about with people who are 9 out of 10 and they're trying to get to 10 out of 10 would just go over my head completely, right? Like positioning your feet correctly and, moving your shoulder in a certain way. Right? It would be ridiculous for me to hire Steph Curry to teach me how to shoot half-court shots when I don't even know how to shoot free throws the right way, or I don't even know how to, lay up the ball the right way, right? You gotta walk before you can jog, and you gotta jog before you can run. But with that being said, generally speaking, expert positioning is best if you're selling a high-ticket product, right? So a coaching program, an agency, something along those lines, something that's $3,000 or above. Expert positioning is gonna be the way to go, most of the time. There are some exceptions. But let's talk about enthusiast positioning very quickly as well. And a really good example of this, I like the way this guy makes content, is Ali Abdaal. Okay, so he positions himself as an enthusiast. And you'll notice this when you watch his content. He almost never says, I know this, or because of, my experience, blah, blah, blah. He references other people. He'll say, this person wrote a really good book, or this person did a really good study, or, there's some data that's available on this website. He referenced other people's stuff, other people who are experts, and he basically just talks about that stuff. And oftentimes, enthusiasts are better at teaching beginners than experts. And this is why Ali Abdaal is so popular, in my opinion, is because he positions himself as an enthusiast instead of as an expert. And this is much more relatable as well, right? So it's relatable to a wide target audience because they make learning fun and easy. This is what enthusiasts do. And this is best if you're selling a low to mid-ticket product, generally speaking. So this could be like anywhere from typically $300 to $3,000. Some people would say $2,000, right? But maybe like $300 to like $3,000 or so. And of course, you can sell lower ticket products as well. And if you do things in the right way as an enthusiast, you make it very beginner friendly, you can even sell high ticket products, but typically you are going to be selling to beginners. And then you've got learners, right? And this is a person who's just a few steps ahead of a total beginner. And they're basically like a friend, okay? And it's harder to sell your own products, but it's a bit easier to sell affiliate products. Or if you are gonna sell your own products, you can sell low ticket. And this can be anywhere from $100 to $300. But keep in mind, it's still very easy to promote affiliate products as a learner because you can basically just say, hey, I use this product. It was really useful to me. It helped me go from total beginner to, being decent at this. And generally speaking, learners might help people who are a 0 get to a 3. Okay, so it's helping someone get from 0 to like a 3 out of 10. Enthusiasts can help people get from a 0 to maybe 7 out of 10. Or they could help a 3 out of 10 get to 7 out of 10. And then experts can help anybody, right? They could help like a 0 get to a 10 out of 10. But generally speaking, experts are best at helping like 7 out of 10s get to 10 out of 10, right? Because if you're a 0 out of 10, like I said, it's gonna be pretty intimidating to work directly with an expert. Now, there are exceptions. There are people that are exceptionally good at teaching beginners, even though they're experts. And one thing I wanna say is all of this is generally speaking, even if you're a learner, you can sometimes still sell high ticket products to beginners, especially in newer markets. And then another thing I want to say about this is learners, as you kind of develop on your journey, if you're starting off and you're almost a beginner, you're a learner, as you develop on your journey, you can go from a learner to an enthusiast and from an enthusiast to an expert. Right? As you're studying, as you're putting the hours in, you can absolutely transition. So another thing to keep in mind here is the ratio of kind of educational to entertainment content and also low expertise to high expertise. So obviously people who are learners are on the lower side of the expertise scale. And typically they're focused a bit more on entertainment content, right? Because they want to make things relatable. So you'll notice that channels like this, a lot of the time they edit more, they might crack jokes, they might just make more entertaining content in general. So an example of this would be Bia Heza talking about videos where he learned how to day trade or he learned how to, trade on the crypto market, something like that. That would be an example of learner style content. It's very entertaining, it's very relatable, and it helps people go from 0 to maybe 3. Then you've got enthusiast content, and this is a bit more on the educational side, but at the same time, they're still not complete experts, right? So they have more expertise, but they're still not complete experts. And then the third one is experts. And these people usually have high expertise and usually they make pretty pure educational content, right? They're not trying to entertain people because they're very serious about whatever they do. And they operate at an extremely high level as well. Now, what I found is even if you're an expert, right? Whether you're an expert or an enthusiast and you're trying to sell higher ticket products, the best way to operate is to become an expert enthusiast, right? This is kind of a hybrid position in between an expert and an enthusiast where you have the expertise that an expert would have, but you also make it a little bit entertaining, a little bit more relatable, and a little bit more beginner friendly like an enthusiast would. And because of that, it's much more approachable, it's more fun to learn, and you're basically gonna get the best of both worlds. And it's going to allow you to sell whatever type of product that you want to sell because typically learners, they're going to, have to sell something that's $100 to $300. There are exceptions, but generally speaking, then enthusiasts, they can sell anything from like $1 to like, let's say $3,000. And then experts can sell anything they want, right? They can sell 3K plus, or if they wanted to, they could sell like lower ticket products too. But expert enthusiasts are going to be able to get more views, right? Be more entertaining, right? So the entertainment level is higher. I know my handwriting is phenomenal. And also make more money. Okay, so this is really the best way to position yourself. Even if you're starting off as a learner, I'm not telling you to totally lie about things, but try to aim for becoming an expert enthusiast because you will have the respect that experts have, but you're gonna make it a lot more fun for people to learn. And a really good ratio here is maybe 80% education, right? I'm gonna put edu there, and 20% entertainment, okay? So 80% education, 20% entertainment to be an expert enthusiast, right? So you do wanna educate people, but you also wanna make it fun for them and entertain them so that the learning process is a lot more fun and we all win, right? And by the way, you might have noticed that you probably have almost never seen entertainment channels sell high ticket products, right? They almost never sell high ticket products. And the reason is because people watch them for entertainment purposes, right? They don't see them as experts. And you've also probably noticed that educational channels, you don't typically see them selling merch, right? Which that's something you usually see an entertainment channel sell, like cheap merch. And the reason is because again, they're positioned as experts and people will hire them to solve their problems, right? They'll buy their products and services in order to solve their problems. But if you're an expert enthusiast, you basically get the best of both worlds. So this is the sweet spot, right? This is where you want to be. And in my opinion, this is a really good example of someone who's there. So this is Boyd Cluess. He teaches IT professionals how to become cybersecurity certified and get really high paying cybersecurity jobs. Some of these jobs will pay, $200K plus per year. Right? So he'll have these IT professionals that are probably making like, $50K per year, and he will teach them how to very quickly get the right IT certifications and learn the right skills and land cybersecurity jobs that can make as much as $200K plus per year. And the way he makes his content, he has the upside of being an expert, right? So he attracts those people that could potentially become high ticket buyers, and he sells a product that's over $15,000 without the downside of being an expert, right? So he avoids being unrelatable, annoying, or braggy, but he also earns respect, he has authority, and he easily sells high ticket products. And Boyd Cluess is doing over $1.5 million a month teaching people how to get into specific cybersecurity jobs that pay around $200K per year. And specifically, it's PCI compliance. And his coaching program, last time I checked, was about $17,000. But at the same time, he's able to get a good amount of views. He's got a good amount of subscribers, around 250,000. So he gets the upside of basically being famous because he's getting a lot of views. He's relatable to beginners as well as people who are very experienced, people who are likely to be able to buy his product and services. And he also gets the upside of being seen as an expert. And this is key. Now, I'm briefly going to talk about how to pick your niche, right? Because this is a topic that maybe you are struggling with or maybe you're not struggling with. But the biggest secret when it comes to picking your niche is the exact secret that Boyd Cluess used, and that is to simply solve problems, okay? Solve problems for you. Not you right now, but the past version of yourself. Okay, that is the biggest secret when it comes to picking your niche. You might be in a situation right now where you already have a really established niche. In that case, don't worry about it. Although this can still help you a lot of the time when it comes to your marketing and your client avatar. But if you simply just solve problems for the past version of yourself, that's like doing $1 million in market research. Okay, so you could spend $1 million in doing market research and like understand everything about your client avatar, what their problems are, what their worries are, what emotions they have, etc. Or you can just simply think back to yourself earlier on in your life and then just solve problems for the younger version of yourself, right? That's $1 million in market research right there. You have an unfair advantage if you just very simply solve problems for the younger version of yourself. And that's exactly what Boyd Cluess did, and that's exactly what most of my clients do as well. Now, there are very rare exceptions. For instance, once in a while you might run into like a female dating coach who teaches guys how to get girlfriends and stuff. So there are exceptions to the rule, but generally speaking, solving problems for the younger version of yourself is going to be the way to go. All right, so now you know how to position yourself, you know your niche. The next part is what I like to call the holy trifecta. And this is your marketing or your packaging for your YouTube videos. And the holy trifecta is basically the intro, the title, and the thumbnail. And the reason that I talk about them together is because all of them work together and they all need to be congruent with each other. And the reason I say this is because I see so many people making this mistake, and I'm going to talk about a few examples here in a moment. But basically, you've got your introduction, and this hooks viewers, and it addresses their interests immediately. You've got your title, and this is a compelling title that sparks curiosity and it invites clicks. And then you've got your thumbnail. And this is a visually striking thumbnail that stops scrolling and reinforces the title. Generally speaking, people are going to see the thumbnail first, then they're going to see the title second, and then if they choose to click on the video, they're going to see the introduction and hear the introduction third. And specifically on the thumbnail, the first thing people usually will look at is the eyes, right? So this is why I tell my clients a lot of the time to whiten their eyes on the thumbnail, make sure that the eyes are very clear. You can see the whites of the eyes. If you think about it, this is an evolutionary thing. When somebody walks into a room and you don't know them, what's the very first thing you do? You look at their eyes. Their eyes will tell a lot about them. It'll tell you who they're looking at. Are they looking at you? Are they looking at the door? Are they looking at your girlfriend, right? It's gonna tell you a lot about their intentions when they walk into a room. Also, when you look at their eyes, you're gonna be able to see emotion. So the second thing you look at after looking at the eyes, pretty much the same time, is looking at their emotional expression. And their emotional expression, which is related to the eyes and linked to the eyes, is going to tell you what their intention is. Are they happy? Are they angry? Are they mad? Are they sad? Etc. Right? This is going to tell you so much. In a split second, it gives you so much information about the person. And that's why the first thing you do immediately, without even thinking about it, is look at the person's eyes when they walk into a room. Okay? So when it comes to the thumbnail, they're going to look at the eyes, then they're going to look at the emotional expression, then they're going to look at the rest of the thumbnail, so any words, etc. on the thumbnail. Then they're going to make a decision on whether or not they are going to look at the title. And then based on the title, they're going to make a decision whether or not they're going to click on the video. And then based on the introduction, they make a decision on whether or not they are going to watch the rest of the video. And you want to use this holy trifecta approach to make good thumbnails, titles, and intros. And the better you get at this, the easier it's going to be for you to grow. This is like marketing for a business, okay? You have no business if you aren't getting clients. You could have the best product in the world, but if you have crappy marketing, nobody's ever going to buy your product, okay? And you need marketing to get the clients. And you have no YouTube channel if you aren't getting views. And you need the holy trifecta to get views, right? So in a sea of countless YouTube videos, how do you stand out and get the attention of your ideal clients? Right, this is what the homepage looks like. Silicon Valley girl here, she's talking to Reid Hoffman. This guy's a billionaire, right? Then you've got these people like Adam Earhart, who has hundreds of thousands of subscribers. He's been doing this for a long time. You've got these people like Tim Koa, who also has lots of subscribers. So how do you stand out when you have all these excellent channels that are all trying to do the same thing and get views? Well, that is where the holy trifecta comes into play. And I'm just gonna draw it like a triangle so you know what I'm talking about: the thumbnail, the title, and the intro. And what's very important is that all three of these are congruent with each other, right? So your thumbnail, your title, and your intro need to all be congruent with each other, right? So for a person to go from point A, which is where they are right now, to point B, which is where you want them to go, which is clicking on your video and watching it, you need to make sure that all three of these are congruent, right? Because at point A, the person has a problem, and point B is where you have their attention, they click on your video, and you promise a solution, right? So they have to go through these three things, from the thumbnail, the title, to the intro, to get from point A to point B, which is where you want them to be. Now, a lot of people won't even notice the thumbnail in the first place because they're looking at a lot of thumbnails, right? You'll just get lost in a sea of thumbnails. So they don't even get past this point. Some people will look at the thumbnail, but the thumbnail sucks, right? So they don't look at the title. Some people will look at the thumbnail's great, so they look at the title, but then the title sucks, and so they stop right there. And then some people will look at the thumbnail because it's great, they'll look at the title because it's great, and then they'll click on the video, they'll go to the intro, but then the intro sucks, or it's non-congruent with the thumbnail and the title, and so they will immediately click off of the video. So let's go ahead and start with the title, because we're gonna go through this in order to show you exactly how the holy trifecta works, how you can make all three of these things good, and more importantly, how all three of them can be congruent. So first of all, this video right here, this video got, I believe, over 1 million views. And what do you notice about the thumbnail right away? What is the first thing you notice about the thumbnail? Well, if you've been paying attention, you probably noticed that you noticed the eyes, right? My eyes are white. in this thumbnail. Even though I'm pretty far away, right? Like it's my head isn't that big in the thumbnail, you can see the whites of my eyes. The second thing that you probably notice is the expression on my face. So I have a very shocked expression in this video, right? I've got the classic O face and I've got wide eyes, right? My eyes are really wide, and there's a reason for that, right? I want to convey like a shocked or a scared type of emotion. Now, one thing that most people will not notice, only pros will notice this, is that I actually whitened my eyes, okay? So I went in Photoshop and I whitened my eyes here so that they would pop out even more. So number one thing you notice is the eyes. Number two that you notice is the expression, okay, or the emotion. And then number three is everything else, right? Right, all the other stuff. So you might notice that I'm holding a prop, for instance, here. This is my very expensive college degree. Then I've got other pictures of college degrees here. You know, some of them are have X's, right? You know, don't get these college degrees is basically what I'm saying. But do get this college degree because there's a check mark there. Now, additionally, with this video right here, you'll also notice that I whitened my eyes again. Now, if you were to take this thumbnail right here and then just put it with this title, it wouldn't make sense, right? It wouldn't be congruent because I have this shocked face in this thumbnail, but the title is Careers with the Best Work-Life Balance. That would be incongruent. And this is something that I see people do all the time. They'll have a shocked face or you know, a scared face, something like that. But then the title itself is positive, Careers with the Best Work-Life Balance. Now, what do I do in this thumbnail? And by the way, this black arrow is not part of the thumbnail, but what do I do in this thumbnail? I have a slight smile, right? Because I am talking about careers with the best work-life balance. And on the left side, I have black text that says work with a white outline. And I've got money in the background. And then I have on the right side, life. That's white text with a black outline so that it really pops. And then I have a beautiful tropical scene, right? And that's supposed to represent, you know, life, being able to do whatever you want, being free. And you can see that the thumbnail and the title here are congruent with each other. So the first thing people look at is the eyes, right? Specifically the whiteness, because in a split second, they calculate so much information just by looking at this. You'll notice that a lot of animals on planet Earth actually have this because, especially like social animals, right? And there's a reason for this is because other animals that are want to know what they're thinking, right? Want to know their emotions. Then you've got the expression. The facial expression sets the vibe that you're trying to give off in the thumbnail in the video. The example here on the left, my face looks like it's in shock or it's fearful, basically conveys the message, you need to avoid these dangerous degrees, right? And it's emotional, and that's what drives people to click. So thumbnails, generally speaking, are gonna be more emotional than titles. So thumbnails are kind of like 80% emotion, 20% logic, okay? And then you got the letters, right? Big, bold letters, you wanna keep the amount of text itself to a minimum. Usually 4 words absolutely max. That does not mean 4 words on every thumbnail. That means 4 words actually max. If you can make the thumbnail and convey the message in 1 word, then definitely do it. And keep in mind, a lot of people on YouTube are actually watching from their phones, so your text needs to be right in their face. And numbers, especially money symbols, tend to catch the eye. So try to make them as specific as possible. Now, when it comes to the text, I have extensively tested this. White text performs the best, generally speaking. Yellow text performs the second best. And then if you're gonna use colorful text, a lot of the time you wanna use the color wheel. So you'll notice that green here is the absolute opposite on the color wheel from red. And that means that they are matching each other, right? So green and text actually go together. And almost always I will outline the text, right? So in this case, it's black text with white outline. In this case, it's white text with black outline. So I'll almost always outline the text because it makes it pop more. Down here with this one, I also outline the text. It has black outline. It's a little hard to see, but you know, it's there. And then here, I also have black outline or black shadow behind the text as well. And speaking of title, let's talk about titles. Now, the first thing you want to keep in mind with titles is keywords. Now, when I make titles, I use what's known as the Moneyball method, okay? So the Moneyball method I got from this movie called Moneyball. And basically what it is if I can, I try to hit home runs, okay? And that would mean getting on the home page and getting promoted in what's known as browse. However, this is not gonna work out most of the time, especially if you have a small channel, you're not gonna be hitting home runs all the time. So what you do instead is you make sure that the title is SEO friendly, okay? So that it gets promoted in search. And this would be getting on base, okay? So this is basically what it was like in the movie. This team basically, they were like analytical geniuses, and they figured out that people who could hit home runs were being overpaid, and people who could hit the ball and get on base were being underpaid. And so I kind of took this same method, and yes, I still try to hit home runs, don't get me wrong, but if I'm not able to hit a home run, I make sure that my title is SEO friendly so that I can get on base. And you'll see that I have the words YouTube monetization mistakes right at the beginning here. And there's a reason for that, because I want to rank for YouTube monetization mistakes. I don't have a general YouTube channel. I have a channel that's more focused on actually turning YouTube into a business, making money with YouTube, operationalizing it so that it doesn't take up all of your time and you can actually do YouTube in as little as 1 hour a week or even less. And that's what my channel is really focused on, is people who really want to treat YouTube seriously and treat it like a business. And so it makes a lot of sense for me to cover this keyword YouTube monetization and also YouTube monetization mistakes. And then I have more of an emotional type of part to the title at the end. You must avoid, right? That's the emotional part, right? So I've got the logical, the analytical part, which is YouTube monetization mistakes, right? 5 YouTube monetization mistakes specifically. And then I've got the emotional part, which is you must avoid. And you'll see that I put that in all caps as well to make it even more emotional. And so that is how I can make sure that the video is going to get promoted in search, but at the same time, there's a small chance that it's going to get converted in browse. And once in a while, I will hit a home run when I use this method, right? So this part is analytical, and this part is emotional. Now, you might notice that in the context of my small channel, this one actually did get promoted in browse. So people were clicking on this one from browse. So it was reaching a wider audience. But most importantly, it was reaching the right audience. Now, you might be wondering, Shane, how in the world do I come up with keywords? Well, there's a couple tools that I really like to use. vidIQ is a phenomenal tool when it comes to coming up with keywords, and then Keywords Everywhere. These are the 2 tools that I use more than anything else. They're both phenomenal tools, and you can look up stuff on vidIQ. This is kind of what it would look like. So for instance, social media marketing agency, let's just say you look that up. It's going to tell you a lot of really important information about that exact keyword. And most importantly, you want to click on this related keywords section, because this is going to unlock a bunch of keywords that are related to social media marketing agency. Now, when you type that in, when you type social media marketing agency in, chances are certain people are going to pop up, and keywords that are semantically related to social media marketing agency are also going to pop up. So you might see Iman Gadzhi pop up, you might see Tai Lopez pop up. But you also might see keywords like SMMA pop up, or AI agency, or service-based products, et cetera, et cetera. Things that are semantically related to social media marketing agency, AKA people who are interested in the keyword social media marketing agency would likely be interested in those other things. And this is going to help you to come up with the best titles. It's going to help you to come up with the best stuff that you can put in your videos. Just as an example, college major is semantically related to degree or college degree, right? And in many cases, these are interchangeable. However, college degree, you're gonna get paid much more for AdSense if you talk about college degrees, and generally speaking, more people search it. So you would look this up and you would determine that it's better to talk about college degrees than college majors, even though in the context of making a video, they're essentially the same thing. So this is what Keywords Everywhere would look like. You can see that it gives you the approximate amount of people that are searching these terms on the right. It'll also tell you if people are spending money in the form of ads on those search terms, which also can make a big difference, because YouTube, at the end of the day, it is a company. And if a bunch of people are spending ads on certain search terms, chances are YouTube is going to push that search term more than if people aren't spending ads on it. Now, remember, when you're coming up with these titles, you want to focus on browse and search. Right? So you want the titles to be browse friendly and search friendly. And generally speaking, you want to put the main keyword at the beginning of the sentence to make it search friendly, right? So you'll notice with almost all of these videos, I usually will put the main keyword towards the beginning, YouTube monetization mistakes. Here, the main keyword is careers. I put it towards the beginning. Here, the main keyword is engineering degree, right? Now, in this particular case, the main keyword is at the end, right? Useless degrees. However, it's a really short sentence, so it doesn't really matter, right? And as simple as these tips sound, these are the tips that are actually gonna make the difference. Like, these are the most important things when it comes to making your title. And then finally, you've got your intro, okay? So first of all, make sure that your title and your thumbnail are congruent with each other. I talked about that. But then you wanna make sure your intro is congruent as well. Right, so you see here from Ravi Abuvala, he talks about how many events he's had in the last year. He's had like 7,100 sales calls. And you'll notice this is right at the beginning in the first 30 seconds of the video. So this is a social proof intro. This is a very powerful intro, especially if you're positioning yourself as an expert, an enthusiast, or an expert hybrid. So there's a couple different ways that you can do this. Of course, you can put actual, like money amounts you've made, subscriber amounts that you have if you're talking about being an expert on YouTube, how many calls you've gotten in the case of Ravi here. Another way you can add social proof if you don't have these things is to show widespread interest in your topic through comments or metrics to establish credibility. So you could have a comment from someone who asked for the video topic, for instance. I've done this in many videos in the past. For instance, right at the beginning of my most useless degrees video, which is one of the highest viewed videos on my channel, I talk about how a lot of people commented they want to see more videos like this. People tend to get extremely triggered when you tell them they're getting a useless degree. You also might show a different video that you did on a similar subject that got a lot of views. So that would be an example of showing metrics instead of comments. And then you can show real viewer engagement to create trust and validation that keeps viewers watching, right? So you could show that you got 5,000 likes on a video that you made on a similar topic, just as an example. Or if you're talking about how to grow on Instagram, you could show your Instagram or an Instagram from one of your clients that did really well, right? But always try to show social proof. And this is especially important when you don't have social proof, right? This is especially important when you have a smaller channel. Another type of intro is going to be a news intro. And you'll see this is very common in niches such as finance, right? So finance, trading, investing, etc. You will see these types of creators use news style intros all the time. An example here is Graham Stephan, right? So this is a video he's talking about how Bitcoin will reach $1 million, what you must know. And then right at the beginning of the video, what does he do? He shows a bunch of news articles. And this is very, very common in finance. And there's some other niches where this is common as well. So you can show some kind of new thing that happened in your industry, some type of news that came out, some type of event that happened. And this is a really good way to hook people in at the very beginning, right? So reference timely events or statistics to create urgency and relevance. For the make money online niche, I might say something like, YouTube is now growing. The creator economy is now expected to get to $1.17 trillion in the next 10 years, which is a true statistic. And I might talk about that towards the beginning of my video. But whatever you do, you want to try to connect your content to current trends to make viewers feel like they need this information now. This is a super, super effective thing that you can do. And you can also connect it to people, right? So let's just say a certain creator is growing really fast in your niche. You could talk about them right at the beginning of your video.
Despite concerns of upcoming tariffs, the S&P 500 falling to 4-month lows, and recession fears coming back into the spotlight, there's one topic that's either gonna make or cost people a lot of money.
The next type of intro is the straight into it intro. And this works a little bit better for more established channels usually, or if you're the only person talking about the topic. And it also tends to work better if it is a search-based video. So if it's a video where you expect to get a lot of views from search, these straight into it intros work really well, because basically what you can do is just repeat the title, which helps a lot with SEO. It helps a lot with getting your videos ranked in search, and then directly state what viewers will get, then dive into the content within 15 to 30 seconds. Now, a lot of the times what you can do is include a compelling big promise to encourage people to keep watching the video. And there was a period of time on my main channel where I'd say 80% of my intros were just like this. And it actually works really well in some niches. So it's definitely a good one to test out. So in today's video, we're gonna be talking about the 21 highest paying work from home jobs. And this is going to be without a doubt the best video available on the internet. And this is something where if you really pay attention to this and you get one of these jobs, it can literally change your life in 3 months. Many people have done this. There's interviews on my channel of people who have gotten jobs in 10 days, 14 days. There's even a 16-year-old who was able to get a job using these methods that I'm gonna talk about in this video. And this is gonna give you a bunch of different options for really good remote or work from home jobs. And this is gonna be 100% backed by the best data available on the internet, as well as my own experience helping a bunch of people get these types of jobs. And then another one of my favorite intros is the breaking common beliefs intro. Here's an example of one of those. So this is the 8 hardest majors in college. And what I say almost at the very beginning is I talk about how all of you think that engineering is going to be number 1, but actually it isn't, right? So I break those common beliefs because everyone's thinking like, oh, definitely an engineering degree is going to be the number 1 hardest. But I say right at the beginning, it's actually not. So this is where you basically challenge conventional wisdom immediately to create intrigue. And you position yourself as revealing truths others won't discuss to trigger curiosity. So this is another very common, very effective intro that I've used many, many times on my channel, and it's one that I have my clients use as well. And here's an example.
Some big egos are about to be shattered. That's right, today we are going to be talking about the hardest college majors that you can get in college. That's right, you think you're smarter than me? Yeah, okay, well, you probably are. Yeah, fair play. But anyways, I lived in a scholarship hall with 50 dudes from all different types of majors, and I could tell which ones had to study all the time, which ones were stressed out all the time, and which ones are just partying like it's 1989. And I am just gonna tell you right away, you are probably gonna be surprised by this list. Engineering, the one that you all think is gonna be number 1, isn't.
And the interesting thing is, you don't have to stick with just one of these intros. You can actually combine these in many cases, right? So you could start off with like some type of new statistic that popped up in the news, and then you could say, well, as somebody who has been, in this industry for a very long time and I've achieved XYZ, so that would be an example of social proof, I know that this statistic is misleading, and actually the real reason is ABC, right? So that would be kind of like the breaking common beliefs intro. So you can actually mix and match these. You don't even have to do just one of them. But with that being said, these are the things that really capture people's attention. So you should try to be integrating these into your intro. And again, keep in mind, you want your intro to be congruent with your title and your thumbnail. So people are gonna look at your thumbnail first, then look at your title, then watch your intro, and make a decision on whether or not they're gonna watch the video. So you need to make sure that all 3 of these are congruent with each other. They all have the same vibe. And a really good way of doing this is just pay attention to your own viewing behavior. There's been a lot of videos that you probably click on and then you immediately click off of. And instead of just immediately clicking off, go back, click on that video again, watch the intro again, and then think to yourself, why? Why did I click off of this video? And then there's videos that you almost clicked on, but there was just something a little bit off about it, and just think to yourself, why, right? Pay attention to your own viewing behavior, and this will unlock a lot of secrets because chances are your viewers are thinking the exact same things. And in many cases, you will find that the reason you don't click on something is because the title, thumbnail, and intro are not congruent with each other. Just as an example, let's just say in this video, how Bitcoin will reach 1 million, what you must know. If Graham Stephan immediately said, hey, I don't recommend investing in Bitcoin, that would be incongruent with the title because the title says Bitcoin will reach 1 million, right? So even if he doesn't recommend investing in Bitcoin, he probably wants to say that at the end of the video, not in the intro, because that would be incongruent and that would probably cause people to click off of it. Now, you might be thinking, Shane, oh, that's great, thumbnail, title, intro, but how do I even come up with the ideas? And this is actually a very intelligent thought to have. So if you are thinking that, then congrats. You're probably an intelligent person. Because the idea is actually quite important, right? And this is how you come up with really good video ideas. It's the icon method. Okay, this is my famous method that you see even like some of the biggest people in the industry are now using, but I was the one who came up with it. And basically, I got this from Carl Icahn, right? I got this by studying one of the most famous investors of all time. And the reason why I study people like him is because I think a lot of the smartest people are usually in the finance and the software industry. And he, of course, was a famous finance investor. And what he would do is he would look for companies that were basically doing extremely well, despite the fact that they were ran like okay? So they were ran terribly. So he would find companies. Okay, so let's just say a company, let's just say this company right here, and they're doing, let's just say, I don't know, 10 million a year. This company right here is doing 20 million a year. And then this company here is doing 50 million a year, and this company is doing 100 million a year, okay? Just put that there, 100 million a year. So he would look at all these companies, and then he would evaluate them to see how well they were run, right? So this company right here, let's just say they're ran 10 out of 10, right? And they're doing 10 million a year. Definitely would not want to invest in that. This company right here, they're 8 out of 10, okay? They're doing 20 million a year. Probably wouldn't want to invest in that either. This company here, they're doing 50 million a year, but you know, he would look into them and they're like a 2 out of 10, right? They're ran terribly. And then this company right here, they're doing 100 million a year, but they're, let's just say, a 9 out of 10, or even a 7 out of 10. Let's just say a 7 out of 10, okay? This is the company that he would invest in right here. He wouldn't invest in this one because it's ran pretty well. He wouldn't invest in this one even though they make more money because it's also ran pretty well. This is the company that he would invest in, okay? The company that's a 2 out of 10 and they're doing 50 million a year. He'd buy the company, he would fix it up, and within a few years, he would usually sell it, okay? So he would get the company doing like 2, 3, 4, 5 times, sometimes even 10 times better. So, you know, he might get the company from 50 million a year to, let's just say 200 million a year, and then sell it, right? And he'd make a ton of money. So that's what he did. And he did this over and over and over again. And this is the icon method. So what I did is I took this icon method and I applied it to YouTube. So the way that it works for him is he identifies undervalued assets, he analyzes the hidden potential, he makes strategic improvements, he unlocks the value, and there's massive success. He ends up selling it and making a ton of money, making like 10 times his money back. And this is exactly what you can do with YouTube, and this is what I started doing. So I'll just give you an example. I saw this video like 5 years ago, and it was called The Most Worthless College Majors. And this was from a small channel, okay, 10K subscribers. It had 700,000 views, and the video was objectively bad, okay? It was just bad. Now, how do you tell it's bad? Well, the door, first of all, this is a still shot of his video. He doesn't even have a proper thumbnail. Second of all, the door is in better focus than his face, right? His face isn't in focus. The camera's focused on the door. So that's a sign that it's a pretty bad video. Third of all, his audio was bad, right? So let's just say, let's make a list of things that are bad here, just so we can take inventory. So what is bad here? The thumbnail's bad. The focus is bad. The audio was really bad. He was also drunk during the video. He was literally drinking alcohol and like slurring during the video and kind of just ranting about, you know, worthless college majors, right? A lot of things were bad about this video. Wasn't edited, wasn't entertaining. It was just him ranting for about 25 minutes. Some drunken guy ranting about college degrees for 25 minutes, right? Now, what was not bad? The title was okay. Okay, title was okay. But other than that, pretty much everything else was bad. Okay, so just to take inventory here, came from a small channel, right? What does that mean exactly? They didn't have any, you know, ridiculous competitive advantage by having a huge audience, because when you have a huge audience, you can post just about anything and it'll do well, right? So it came from a small channel. The video got a lot of views, right? You want to find videos that have lots of views. Or hypothetically, if you know that that video made a lot of money, or you know that that's the type of video that would make a lot of money in your niche, you can actually skip the views part and you can just realize that like this video makes a lot of money, right? But just for simplicity, 1, small channel, 2, lots of views, and 3, bad video, right? It's just objectively a bad video. Or it could be mediocre, right? You could also do a mediocre video. So what did I do? Confirmed it has all 3 of these things. Then I stole the idea, okay? Nothing else, just the idea, not the content, not the thumbnail, not the title, not anything, just the idea from the video. And the reason I want to do this is because I don't want to be the first person to hack through a bamboo jungle. I want to be the second person to hack through the bamboo. I want someone else to go hack through the jungle and find the gold on the other side, and then I just walk through after they've done all the hard work, okay? I don't want to be the first one to do anything. I want to be the second one after somebody else has confirmed that it works. Why? Because of proof of concept. And additionally, on top of proof of concept, I want them to get proof of concept while making an objectively bad video with a small channel that gets a lot of views. Why is this? Because it confirms that there is a starving crowd of people. Starving crowd of people for that idea. So the analogy I like to use here is I would much rather be selling mediocre food like hot dogs to a starving crowd of people than sell gourmet food to people that are not starving, that in fact they're full, right? So they're just walking out of a buffet. So you're gonna make way more money selling hot dogs to a starving crowd of people, right? People maybe that just walked out of a bar in the middle of the night, like college students, than you will make selling gourmet food to people who are just walking out of a buffet and they're full. Okay. So ideally, what you want to do is sell gourmet food to a starving crowd of people, because then you're going to make even more money. But the most important thing about that situation is the starving crowd. You want to make sure that there is a starving crowd of people for that video idea. And then you feed them a good version of that video idea. And that's exactly what I did here. I made a better one. Okay. So you can see this video. I didn't steal the title. I didn't steal the thumbnail. I didn't steal the intro. I didn't steal the content. The only thing I stole is the idea. The most worthless college majors, I turned that into the most useless degrees, and then I made literally everything else better. And what was the result? Over 4 million views. That is the icon method, all right? So this is a super effective method. I can't even describe how well this works. This has worked for so many of my clients. There's other ways of coming up with video ideas, and especially if you already have a big channel, there's other ways of coming up with video ideas that are quite effective, but especially for a newbie, someone who's just starting out, the icon method, nothing beats it, okay? So here's another example. Right, so let's just say you are looking up the keyword make money online. This is quite a common keyword, and this is kind of what pops up. Like here, let's just look at these examples when you type in make money online. Which one would be a better version of a potential Muse video for the icon method? Would it be, let's say, number 1 or number 2? So, come up with your, pause the video if you have to, come up with your answer. This one right here, it comes from a 1 million subscriber channel. It's got 100,000 views. The thumbnail looks relatively good. The title seems relatively solid. And if you were to click on the video, there's a lot of fancy editing. It looks pretty good. This one here comes from a smaller channel, 19,000 subscribers. And by the way, you can see this with vidIQ. I think it's even the free version of vidIQ. You can see the amount of subscribers. How to actually make money online, no BS guide. Now, the title seems pretty solid, so the title's okay. The thumbnail is relatively okay. I'll say one thing that's quite weak about this video is the amount of time it is. 5 minutes and 49 seconds is not ideal. You typically want to make longer videos. And so this one out of the two would be better. With that being said, when you click on it, it's actually a pretty decent video. So I probably would not choose this video as an icon method video because it's relatively good. With that being said, if I had to choose between these two videos, this is definitely the one that I would choose out of the two, and it would be the one that's much more likely to do better, especially on a smaller channel. Now, why is that? Because you've got a ratio here of 19K subscribers to about 600, 700K subs. So that's like at least 30-to-1 ratio. So 30-to-1 ratio, that's a really good sign. But the part that's bad, so it's got two things going for it, right? It's got the subscribers, it's got the views. However, I would say that this content is decent, So there's a small chance that I would remake this one and make it better and make it a lot longer. But with that being said, this content is maybe even above mediocre. And so it might not be the best idea to do this one. So when doing this, you're not always going to find one right off the bat. It's not always going to be the one that's at the very top as well. You're likely going to have to scroll down for a while before you find the right one. Now, one thing that can make this a bit faster is using the website oneof10.com. This is a good website. You don't have to use it. It does cost money. You can just type things in on YouTube search and then just scroll down until you find the right one using the icon method. But oneof10.com is going to make things faster and easier. So here's another example of a video that I found that I thought was actually kind of mediocre. When you click on the video, for instance, the guy's head was kind of blurry, for instance, so the camera wasn't really set up correctly. The thumbnail was okay. It was a little bit too colorful, too many colors, too many words, etc. Also didn't really make sense because the background was showing sort of like a tropical vibe, whereas the video itself was work from home jobs, which doesn't really make sense. So I remade this video and it got millions of views. So somebody that I taught this method to, the icon method, was Josh, right? So Josh was making less than 1K per month. I taught him the icon method to help with his business, okay? And basically, we found videos that did well from smaller channels with mediocre or bad quality. And this basically proves the concept and shows that it's the idea that people care about, because we were able to absolutely blow his channel up by doing this. Now, in his case, there were some videos that he made that may not have gotten a lot of views, but he knew that those were the types of videos that make money, right? So if you know the types of videos that actually make money, you can adjust the icon method to just targeting those types of videos that actually do make money, right? And here's an example of him implementing the icon method, right? So we found this video right here. This was a while back, but it was from a relatively small channel. In fact, when it first blew up, her channel was significantly smaller. This was the video that blew her channel up. And it got, 2.4 million views with 200K subscribers. That's a 22-to-1 ratio. So we had him remake this video, and it did extremely well, especially for his channel, right? Why I quit my 130K per year cybersecurity PM job and future plans, and it did really well. And now Josh is making 186K per month, right? He's crushing it. All right, so next is going to be content taxonomy. And this is extremely important because this is all about like, how do you make videos? Like, what types of videos do you make and how do you make them, and why would you make each type of video? Now, by the way, if you want more information, more examples on how to do this, we actually have completely free resources that will give you a bunch more examples, templates, free training, et cetera, down in the description and the pinned comment below. So definitely check that out. Now, when it comes to content taxonomy, probably the most important thing that you really want to pay attention to is what's known as the format. Okay. So what exactly is the format? Well, it's the type of video that you're making. And if you think about it, every form of content or every format of content at the end of the day was essentially a listicle. And this is kind of a cheat code for thinking about the type of content that you make, right? So if you think about it like, okay, books are full of chapters, right? And chapters are a list. Documentaries. Okay, so if you are making documentary style content, documentaries are typically a series of events. Okay, series of events. Sometimes they'll have some interviews in between, etc. But it's a series of events in order that basically tell a story or your perspective on the story. What is that? That is a list. And then how-tos, right? So this is kind of a style of content, how-to content. This is basically a series of steps that, when executed, solves a problem, right? So it's how-to, right? How to fix your toilet, how to fix your air conditioner, right? It would be a series of steps, and when you execute those steps, it solves a problem, right? So it's a series of steps. And when you execute that, it solves a problem. And what is that? At the end of the day, it's basically a list. With that in mind, keep in mind that everything is essentially a list or a listicle at the end of the day. There are certain types of content that, in my opinion, are much better for getting views and making money and really just delivering value and creating impact for your clients. And here's how that list goes. On the right here are kind of the least recommended types of videos. And then as you move towards the left, they're the most recommended, right? So I got a bunch of pictures down here. Some of them are clients, some of them are my own, some of them are people that are like pretty big in the industry. But these are examples, right? So you've got all the way over on the left here is how-to and explainer videos. And the most extreme version of a how-to or explainer video is like a 4-hour video, okay? So this is like a 4-hour video right here, and it's a how-to video on how to start a digital marketing agency. Full free course, 4.5 hours. Right? And how-to and explainer videos are, you have like the shorter ones as well. So it could range from like all the way from 3 minutes to super long. And generally speaking, longer ones are going to be more recommended. But these just directly solve people's problems, right? Because that's typically why you're even making a video like this, is like how to do a thing. And that thing is usually the problem that they're having. So that just directly solves the problem. And on top of it, it gets a lot of views. So these are extremely valuable videos. Another type of video you could make is a listicle video. So 8 marketing agency offers to steal, 10K per month in 90 days. So this is basically a list of things. A lot of the time, this is going to be kind of, examples of things that you could do. 16 laziest ways to make money online for beginners. Listicles can be great, especially if you give a list of things that are extremely relevant to your target audience. Another example of a listicle, for instance, would be a tier list. So if you're ranking, let's just say the best, college degrees, or you're ranking the best business models, or you're ranking the best side hustles in a tier list, that would be an example of a listicle video too. And these can be extremely valuable, especially if it's very niche for your audience. So just as an example, something that's quite valuable is me making a list of the different pieces of software that I like to use in order to get views on YouTube. That's extremely valuable because it's basically me talking about my favorite pieces of software that other people could potentially use as well. So these can be pretty valuable too. They also get quite a few views, right? So high view and high impact. Then you've got testimonials and interviews. Now, these can be quite good too, and they can get a lot of sales. But the problem with these is they typically don't get very many views. Okay, so these have high impact because they get the person emotionally excited. They're quite good for marketing as well. They give a lot of value because the person can kind of see themselves in the other person's situation. But the big problem with these is they typically don't get very many views. Okay, they can still be good, especially if you use them tactically. For instance, you could get a lot of views with a listicle or a how-to style video and then basically send that person to a testimonial or an interview video. Now, there's clever ways how you can kind of have a testimonial or interview video, but kind of package it in a different way where it kind of looks like something else. And so it ends up getting more views. That's something I'll kind of talk about in a bit. But generally speaking, testimonials and interviews, extremely good for conversions, but they don't get a lot of views. Story videos are actually great because they can get a lot of views and they can be really good with conversions, but you can't really tell your story over and over again, right? So you hear Charlie Morgan, like college dropout to 7-figure agency owner, my story. You probably couldn't tell this story over and over again. Like you can maybe make this video once and then maybe make another video that's similar to it later on down the line. You can't really do these videos over and over again. So they're quite good. You should make them, but you can't really do it all the time. Right? That's kind of the problem with story videos. If for some reason you can tell your story over and over again because you're in a weird niche where you can just do that for whatever reason, then go ahead and do it. It's great. News style content. Now, I will say one thing, news style content is amazing for the finance niche. Okay, so if you're in finance, news style content is phenomenal. With that being said, for a lot of niches out there, it's not going to be the best because it does get a lot of views, but it doesn't really give a lot of value, right? You're not really solving problems for people. In many cases, you're kind of just maybe aggravating them a little bit. You're talking about something that pisses them off in the news. This party did that, or this, presidential candidate did XYZ, that kind of thing. In finance, it works because finance is such an advanced market, and typically you're not. Maybe sometimes you're selling high ticket products, but finance and news are kind of intertwined with each other. So it makes a lot of sense in finance. But for a lot of niches, you're going to find that it's quite difficult to sell high ticket products with news style content. However, if you're selling medium or low ticket, sometimes that might work. And it does get a lot of views. News style content gets a massive amount of views. Then you've got reaction style content. Now, it was hard for me to even find an example of reaction style content in the make money online niche. This is usually more on the entertainment side of things. So some of these were like mildly reaction style content, like kind of, how Alex Ramosi made 30 million with one ad, and he's basically kind of just reacting to the ad. You could also call that kind of like a case study as well. It's a little hard to make this work in the make money online niche. And generally speaking, reaction style content just doesn't work that well. You could do it in finance as well. Finance niche is extremely well, it's like one of the oldest niches. You can also make reaction style content work really well in health niches. So just as an example, More Plates, More Dates started like $100 million company just reacting to, most of the time it was people who are fake natties and stuff like that, like people who pretend like they're natural when in reality they're taking steroids. He started a massive channel by doing that. So this can work in more advanced niches like finance or health / fitness. But with that being said, I haven't really seen anybody doing this really well in the make money online niche. Doesn't really work all that well. And a lot of the time it's kind of like drama as well, where, SMMAs that don't know this will fail, and he kind of reacts to something that, somebody big said. doesn't work all that well in the make money online niche. And if you are being super dramatic, generally speaking, you're going to attract a bunch of people that are trolls, and those people are never going to be buyers, right? Those are people who don't really get results. They're not willing to invest in themselves, so therefore they're almost never going to get results. They're not going to end up being buyers, and they're just going to be trolls, and they're going to be negative. If you ever try to sell anything, they're going to turn against you, right? So generally speaking, not a good idea. Documentary style content, this one gets a ton of views. I would say reaction content also gets a ton of views, but it's not very good for conversions. I've seen a lot of people try to make this work. James Janney, for instance, does documentary style content, and he gets a lot of views, but it's just tough to, it's extremely tough to sell high ticket products with documentary style content. And it's tough to get conversions. I have seen one person who did do this quite well was Iman Gadzhi. Now here's a documentary made about Iman Gadzhi, but he would do these course launches where he was selling, I think it was like $1,000 course. And he would basically do like a series of documentaries in order to get people really excited to attend his webinar for the course. Now that he had a super complicated marketing funnel. Just to illustrate how complicated his marketing funnel was, he had a team of 70 short form editors, okay? And they would make short form content. That short form content would basically drive everyone to his YouTube channel, where he would then make listicle style content, but it was really mass market listicle style content. He didn't sell anything. What he would then do is drive people to certain key videos that were basically like YouTube VSLs. Also wouldn't sell anything on the YouTube VSLs, but then he would drive people that were watching his main YouTube channel to these documentary style videos. You get them really riled up with these documentaries. He's just like, oh, the world is ending, unless you buy my $1,000 course, essentially. And then he would have an event, like a live webinar / live challenge event that would happen about once every 2 to 3 months, where he would sell people, okay? And then he'd finally sell them. Very, very complicated funnel, okay? Like super complicated funnel. We don't like to complicate things. He's a great marketer, don't get me wrong, but it's just a terrible idea to complicate things unless you absolutely know what you're doing. So I recommend making much simpler content. And generally speaking, documentary style content is just way too complicated, all right? What we want, the reason we're doing YouTube is because we want to keep things simple, right? And what you can do is, if you're making how-to videos, you can just sell people straight from the how-to video. You don't have to complicate anything, all right? Or you can just get them on your email list and then sell them on the email list, right? Keep it simple. And then you've got entertainment content, and this just doesn't work, right? So entertainment content, there's been a few people that have made this in the make money online niche. A lot of the time it's like vlogs, entertainment, taking people around to show you your day-to-day life, doing fun stuff, all that kind of stuff. This just doesn't work very well in the make money online niche. And honestly, it doesn't really work well in any niche, even like fitness or finance. I've seen people, I think Graham Stephan tried to make like an entertainment channel, like a vlog style channel. And I think he just gave up on it because he found that, yeah, you can get views with entertainment content, but it's really hard to make money, right? And then you've got like tutorial content. This is similar to how to, but it's much more technical. It's much more like step-by-step and technical, like click here, then click there, then click here. Generally speaking, this is also something where you'll get a lot of views, but a lot of the time you won't make money with it. So most of the time, especially if it's technical tutorial style content, I don't recommend doing it, because they're basically just going to see you like an IT person, right? They're not going to see you as an expert. They're going to see you as an IT person that's just like, click here, click there, click here, It just doesn't work all that well. Now, one type of entertainment content I do think is quite, I think this actually does work with the make money online niche, is challenge, okay? So this is challenge style content. I would say this is not quite entertainment. It's a little bit different, but it's somewhat related. You'll see that Mr. Beast makes challenge videos. And an example of a make money online YouTuber that actually did make the challenge style content work quite well was Bia Heza. So Bia Heza made really good challenge style content. I will say that this is quite hard to make. It's extremely hard. It's time intensive. It takes a lot of time to make this type of content as well. And you can get a lot of views. And monetization wise, it's pretty good too, but it's just really hard. You're a business owner. You don't have time to make challenge style content. But with that being said, even if you look off of YouTube, I would say there's the most popular forms of kind of like make money niche or the entrepreneurship niche off of YouTube were TV shows. And two of the most popular, entrepreneurship related TV shows of all time were The Apprentice and Shark Tank. And I would argue that both of those are essentially challenge style content, right? The Apprentice, you're giving these people a challenge. If they do a good job, they get an offer to be your apprentice, which is, a really big deal. And then for Shark Tank, you're challenging the people to show you their pitch. And if your pitch is really good, they're going to ask you questions, challenge you more. And then they all compete against each other to try to get an offer from these sharks, right? And so I would say that both of those were technically challenge style content and they did very well. Bia Heza also he made challenge style content work as well. So this is the one type of sort of entertainment content that I think does actually work in the make money online niche, but I don't recommend it for like 99% of people. For most of you, how-tos are going to be your bread and butter, maybe some listicles as well. Listicles, generally speaking, are a little more mass market. And then you also want to be uploading some testimonials and interviews. Never hurts to upload a story type video as well, although there's only so many of those that you can actually do. And those are the ones that you're pretty much going to stick with. Unless you're in finance or health, then you can maybe do news as well. So let's talk about these. Listicles, attracting audience, right? Listicles attract an audience. How-to videos that are kind of mass market also attract audience. Then you want to nurture the audience. This is kind of like top of funnel, right? Top of funnel. I like to call this tofu. Middle of funnel is mofu. And then bottom of funnel is bofu, right? I like to call them that. And when it comes to top of funnel, listicles and how-to videos, mass market how-to videos specifically, are great. But that attracts the audience. You want to also try to nurture the audience. And so specific how-to videos are a great way to nurture the audience. Here's an example of some specific how-to videos, how I deliver for build and release clients. And then also non-student case studies. So case studies on people that are not your students. So here's an example of a case study on Iman Gadzhi, right? So these are kind of middle of the funnel. This is really good for nurturing your audience. And then for converting your audience, this is bottom of the funnel. Interviews where you interview maybe some of your clients or you get interviewed, that's great as well. Testimonials where you show somebody you got results for, and then detailed case studies. And usually these are going to be case studies of yourself or case studies of your clients, or you could do a detailed case study of somebody else, but generally speaking, that's going to be more middle of the funnel. So here's some examples of that. I showed Ali Abdal how to make an extra $5 million a year. Here's an example of one of my clients, how I helped Sean scale from 30K to 500K per month on YouTube. This is a case study and also a bit of an interview. And then here is an example, 600,000 in 6 months with AI as a local business, full case study. And I'm guessing that was one of his clients, right? So this is really good for converting your audience. So I'm not gonna lie, specific how-to videos are kind of just the bread and butter because these are borderline like bottom of funnel if you get really, really specific with them. That's kind of the bread and butter for most of the channels that absolutely crush it. With that being said, you can do what's known as hybrid videos too. Right? So you don't have to do just a pure listicle or a pure how-to. A lot of my clients find great success by doing hybrid videos. So just as an example, Sean is absolutely crushing it doing these videos that are kind of how-tos, but they're also case studies at the same time. So what he'll do, he teaches people how to basically do Amazon KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing, where they create books and they put them on Kindle. And what he'll do is he'll find a book that's absolutely crushing it using software that basically shows how many sales the books are making. And then he will basically do a case study on why they're crushing it and then show you how you could make something very similar to that book that's crushing it, right? So we'll do a how-to video and a case study, and it's kind of mixed together. And those are absolutely crushing it for him because they're getting a lot of views. They're repeatable, which is something you kind of want to have, right? You want to make a type of content that's repeatable you can do over and over again. And they convert extremely well, right? So they check all three boxes at once. And basically the holy grail, right? The holy grail is finding a repeatable format, okay? A repeatable format that works for you. This is a format that you can do over and over again that your viewers love, that gets a lot of views, that converts people, and you can just do it over and over again, right? Beat it like a dead horse, and people just keep coming back and watching it again and again. This is the holy grail of content because once you find a repeatable format, where you're basically making the same video over and over again with just a few little changes, it makes the entire process unbelievably easy. Now, you oftentimes will have to search for this format over and over again. Sometimes it's a little idealistic. Sometimes, you're not going to be able to find it right away. Sometimes in some niches, you may not ever be able to find it. And you just have to, make how-to videos that solve people's problems. But if you can just find that repeatable format where you just make the same video over and over again, kind of like Sean is doing, where he is making the hybrid how-to / case study videos from successful products on Amazon KDP, you can find that you are going to absolutely crush it, okay? So this is the holy grail. This is what you want to aim for. It might take you a year. It might take you 2 years to find this. On my main channel, you'll notice almost all my videos are the same. It's something to do with a remote job or a work from home job. It's a listicle video, but it's also a review, right? Because I'm reviewing these different jobs and telling people, hey, this job would be good for you if you're an introvert. This job would be good for you with XYZ, blah, blah, blah. And they're all almost the same with slight little differences, right? And that is the beauty of finding that holy grail format, right? Because I've been able to do those types of videos for, I think, 1.5 years, 2 years now, and it doesn't look like it's slowing down. It's just getting better, okay? So I'm continuing to do that until it stops working, and then I'll find my next, or I'll attempt to find my next holy grail format. And that's really what you wanna do. Okay, next let's talk about the cash code system. So this is how to actually monetize your channel. And this isn't normal monetization, right? Because when people hear monetization, they think of AdSense, right? And AdSense is just the tip of the iceberg. Now, if you're advanced, you might think of sponsorships as well, right? Hey, sponsorships, that's another way of monetizing your channel. And if you're really advanced, you might even think affiliate marketing. But I'm here to tell you that those three are actually just the tip of the iceberg, especially AdSense. AdSense is just the tip of the iceberg. There are much, much better ways to monetize your channel. And let's talk about those right now. So, number one is, of course, AdSense. So this is where you get paid when ads pop up on your channel. And I love this because you're basically getting paid to market your products and services to people. Now, this is my last 28 days. At the time I was making this video, it's about 62,000. That was the last 28 days. I think last month I ended up, in the 31-day period, I think I ended up doing 74,000. The month before it was 72,000, something like that. I might have those mixed up. It might have been 72 and then 74,000. But yeah, last 28 days, 62,000. So that's pretty nice for AdSense, right? Getting paid 62,000 a month just for AdSense alone, not bad. With that being said, there are much, much better ways to monetize. So let's talk about them. So let's reveal this first one. I'm gonna go ahead and delete the box. This is my absolute favorite way of making money, and that is high ticket offers. Now, the channels that I talk about that are crushing it the most, the channels that are doing 100,000 a month, 300,000 a month, 1 million a month, 1.5 million a month, multiple millions a month. Almost all of them are selling high ticket offers with a few exceptions. If you're in a very advanced niche like finance, or if you're in a very advanced health niche, you can make a ton of money selling low and medium ticket offers. In finance, you could sell just about anything and make a ton of money. But for most niches out there that aren't as advanced, selling high ticket offers is the way to go. Okay. And the reason for this is because you only need 1 client per month to make a full-time income, right? So if you're selling offers that are like, let's just $5,000 a month or $5,000 just straight up, like a high ticket coaching offer, for instance, you need 1 client per month to make a full-time income. Easy, right? And for beginners, now you might be thinking, oh, this isn't good for beginners. Actually, this is without a doubt the best way to make money as a beginner, okay? Because it's really easy to get to $10,000 a month on YouTube if you're doing this. I have a channel. One of my clients, he doesn't want his channel to be revealed. A lot of my clients are like that. He gets 100 to 200 views per video. He has a recruiting channel where he recruits for a very specific position within the software industry. Every single time he places somebody in this position, he can get paid up to $50,000, okay? So he makes, last year, he made over $2 million getting 100 to 200 views per video on YouTube. I have another client. I've worked with him. I've consulted with him. He's a great guy, and he makes over $10 million. He gets about 500 to 1,000 views per video. It's a kind of a boutique IT consulting business, right? So high ticket offers are the bomb, okay? This is how you can make a ton of money. Now, what are the types of high ticket offers? You have coaching, you've got consulting, and then you've got any done with you or done for you offers. So this could be like an agency. This could be a high ticket service. Let's give some examples. So coaching, that's what I do. right? I help people to grow and make money on YouTube. That's my main thing that I offer. With that being said, I do have some done for you offers. I do, hire for people, and I occasionally I'll work with clients in an agency setting where I actually just do the content for them, but it's usually like very, very specific clients, right? Consulting, this is usually B2B, right? So you could consult with a business on how they can run their, YouTube ads or something like that, right? There's consulting companies out there that are making billions of dollars a year, right? Bain Consulting, McKinsey, et cetera, right? So consulting can be quite profitable as well. Then you've got done with you or done for you offers. Done with you could be, obviously coaching is a done with you offer, but also you could do a build and release type offer. So that is where it's kind of like a hybrid between a coaching and a service-based offer. You basically fish for them and then you teach them how to fish, essentially, right? With coaching, you're teaching them how to fish. With an agency offer, you're fishing for them. With a service offer, you're fishing for them. With a hybrid offer, you're fishing for them and then you're teaching them how to fish, right? And there's a lot of different done-for-you offers. One example would be resume templates or doing somebody's resume for them. So this is especially effective with very high-level positions. So let's just say someone's trying to become an executive. They might hire you to just do their resume if you're good at doing executive resumes, and you can charge thousands and thousands of dollars each resume. Right? So the whole point here is you're charging at least $3,000. If you're an agency, you could be charging maybe like $1,500 per month. But yeah, at least $3,000. Example of this, Boyd Cluess, he charges $17,000 and he helps people get into a very specific cybersecurity job. Usually these are people who work in IT, and he helps them get into a very high paying cybersecurity job where they can make up to $200K plus per year. Right? So high ticket offers, absolute no-brainer, works in every niche, phenomenal, super easy to make it work. It's quite easy to get to like 10 to 30K per month or even above that. Best for beginners, just highly recommend it, okay? A lot of people are scared of high ticket offers, but it's definitely the best one. All right, next is my next favorite, and this is affiliate marketing. Now, the reason I love affiliate marketing so much is because one, it's one of the quickest ways to start earning money on YouTube, and you can literally just recommend products and services that you already like, products that you already use, and you can get paid to do it, right? So just as an example, there are people making over $1 million a year recommending a product called Go High Level. Okay, so this is one of those people right here, Vince. I think he did make it to over $1 million a year. He just makes a bunch of videos about how to use Go High Level, and he's making over $1 million a year. just doing this, like tutorials on how to use Go High Level, right? So you don't have to make your whole channel about it, obviously. You could just say like, oh, I like using vidIQ, so I recommend vidIQ, right? So I love affiliate offers because you can just recommend stuff that you would have recommended anyways and make a ton of money doing it. So it's just a win-win, right? So you're recommending good products and services, your clients are getting the good products and services, and the company that offers the affiliate marketing opportunity is getting more clients, right? It's just a win-win for everybody. So it doesn't take any extra effort on your part. The amazing thing is literally all you have to do is just generate the traffic. You don't even have to do, right? Usually if you're selling a product, you have to generate traffic. Well, first of all, you have to create the product. You have to generate traffic for the product. You have to do the marketing for the product. You have to do the sales for the product. You have to do the delivery for the product. You have to do the customer service for the product and everything else that's involved. I probably forgot one of the steps. With affiliate marketing, all you have to do is generate traffic and send the traffic to them, and they take care of everything else. It is so scalable, so easy to make money. If I was super lazy, all I would do is just make money from affiliate marketing, and I'd just make YouTube videos, honestly, because it's just that easy. I absolutely love affiliate marketing. One of my favorite ways of making money. Everyone should be doing this, okay? Okay, so number 4 is one that entertainment YouTubers basically have to rely on, and that is sponsorships. So sponsorships, I have kind of a love-hate relationship with them. As your channel grows, it becomes easy to monetize, especially in a niche that attracts specific brands and offers. And so you can make a ton of money doing sponsorships. An example of someone who did a really good job with this was Ali Abdal. He did a sponsorship with Skillshare, and he basically made classes on Skillshare, and then he also did a sponsorship with them. And he made millions and millions of dollars with that sponsorship deal. I have also made a really good amount of money from sponsorships with Coursera. For instance, Coursera is a great company that I've worked with, and I just think they're awesome. And I do sponsorships for them from time to time. And yeah, sponsorships, there's honestly a lot of upside and downside. So I'm just gonna talk about the downsides of sponsorships really quickly. And really, like, the downsides do really suck. You lose creative control. So this is over the types of videos you make, right? Because they're usually going to ask you to make certain types of videos, and also the videos themselves. Okay, because the brand a lot of the time is going to tell you, like, this video is good, or this way you edited this, or this way you said this is good, but that way's not good. And it can actually be annoying, right? So that's actually the second thing, is it can be highly annoying because you have to get the script approved. Okay, so a script has to be approved by the company, and then the video has to be approved, right? So that can be highly annoying. And sometimes they will literally tell you the exact words they want you to say in the video, which you may or may not agree with, right? And you may or may not agree how you're selling it. So that can be quite annoying. Another thing that is quite annoying about sponsorships is you're tied to the company when you do sponsorships, right? You're tied to company. You are legally obligated to not take down the content once you've gotten paid for a sponsorship, unless you want to just give all the money back for the sponsorship, which would suck, because then you did all the work. So an example of this and how this turned out extremely badly was FTX, right? We all saw FTX collapsed a few years back, and just about every freaking finance YouTuber out there had sponsorships with them. Now, I got offered the sponsorship with FTX many times, and I turned it down because I thought it was too risky and I didn't want to, expose my audience to that risk. But a lot of people took that FTX sponsorship, and that means their brand took a hit. Okay. Right? Because a lot of people lost money because of these YouTube personal brand influencers sponsoring FTX videos. And it got really awkward because, just as an example, there was a channel called Millennial Money. And by the way, I don't blame these people. You know, a lot of people fell for this, right? I'm not like talking crap on these people by any means, but there's this channel called Millennial Money that was some of the biggest finance influencers, and they had to shut the entire channel down because every single video was sponsored by FTX, and they couldn't just remove the FTX part. So they literally just deleted the entire channel. Okay, so that sucks, right? I'd say that's a pretty big downside. So you have to be very careful about who you take on as sponsors, right? With that being said, some of the upsides is it's great monetization. It's great for monetization because sometimes you can get paid to make the video, and this is really what I recommend you do. You get paid to make the video. So you might, get paid $10K up front just to make the video, for instance, right? And then you also get affiliate money, right? So you're getting paid to make the video, and then you get affiliate money on top of it. Every time someone signs up, you get paid even more money. So that's the upsides of sponsorship. So I have a love-hate relationship. There are a few sponsors that I work with regularly. Coursera is one of them. I really love Coursera. I think they do a great job. I'm not worried about them ever having any big scandals, knock on wood. But they've been great so far. They've done a great job. Everyone that I've sent to them, I get comments all the time on my channel saying, they're very happy with Coursera. They get results from Coursera, even though it's like a $50 a month type thing. So yeah, really love Coursera. I think they're great. And if you can find the right sponsor, it can be great. But I don't want you to be in a situation where you have to rely on sponsors, right? You don't want to have to rely on sponsors. That sucks, okay? So let's talk about some of the other ways you can make money. Memberships and SaaS. So a really good example of this, well, this is kind of like an example inside of an example. So Sam Ovens was a great creator. He created a phenomenal high-ticket product called Consulting Accelerator and then UpLevel. I really recommend his stuff. He's not in the coaching game anymore. But what he did is he started a SaaS company called School. And this company is likely worth hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars now. And so that's an example of someone creating a SaaS product. Okay. This is obviously very difficult to do, right? SaaS products are not easy to create, but they are easier than they used to be with AI and vibe coding and that type of thing. They're much easier than they used to be. With that being said, an example of a membership product would be School itself, because you can basically create school groups and then you can charge people to be members of the school group, right? And they might, be charged like $50 a month. Now, what I really love about MRR or membership products is people pay you monthly, so they're much more predictable, because if they sign up to pay monthly, chances are they're going to pay the next month and the month after that. And that's much more predictable income. Whereas if you're doing a high ticket product, you might sell $100,000 one month, or $300,000 one month, but then the next month you only sell 100,000, right? So that's unpredictable. Whereas membership products are much more predictable. And the other thing I really like about memberships is they're much more accessible, right? Not everybody can afford a high ticket product, but most people can afford an accessible $50 a month product. Now, the biggest thing that I like the most about membership products, this is absolutely my favorite thing, is that they work well in tandem with high ticket products. So the number one reason to do a membership product, in my opinion, is that you upsell the people who are a part of the membership product to your high ticket product. And that's my favorite reason to do this. So this can be really good for the right type of person. Of course, again, if you're in finance, this works incredibly well because everything works in finance. But yeah, this can be really good for the right type of person. And then down here, we've got low ticket digital products and medium ticket products too. So these can be good sometimes. An example of a good low ticket digital product that I saw was Thomas Frank started selling Notion templates, and he very quickly got to like 100K per month selling Notion templates. I've also seen some people who have sold resume templates, and they've been doing really well with those. Generally speaking, not a huge fan of low ticket digital products unless you are just getting the person into your ecosystem so that you can sell them a higher ticket product. Medium ticket products are great. These used to be like the favorite because they're so scalable. These are courses, programs, medium ticket products. Usually these are gonna be like $300 to maybe $2,000 max. So $300 to like $2,000. The great thing about medium ticket products is you don't have to get on the phone or a webinar to sell them. An example of someone who does medium ticket products really well is Iman Gadzi. One thing I will say about him though is he's a really good marketer. His skill level is insanely high. He also has literally hundreds of people working on his team. So I don't really recommend doing these. Also, these are very competitive because everybody wants to sell a medium ticket course because it's just nirvana, right? You sit back, you create the course, and then you never have to do anything ever again, right? It's like, that's like nirvana, right? It's just automated. You never have to do anything ever again. In theory, in reality, you usually have to create like a new course or a new product every year or two, and you have to refresh the marketing all the time. So these are quite competitive just because they seem so attractive in theory, but in reality, high ticket products are significantly better. And almost all the people that are really crushing it focus on high ticket products, okay? High ticket offers, right? But with that being said, if you're okay with making less money, you just want to, maybe a freedom or a passion business, and you just want to have something that's automated that probably makes a little bit more than affiliate marketing. You can get it to a little bit higher level than something like affiliate marketing, and it's pretty much automated. It's not a lot of work for you. Then a medium ticket product might be the right choice. Now, for me, for instance, I have a variety of different ways that I'm making money. And this is really what you want to have, right? You want to have a variety of different ways so that you're not dependent on just one way of making money. So realistically, my favorite ways are AdSense, 72,000 last month, 74,000 the month before, affiliate marketing, many months where I've made over 6 figures in affiliate marketing, and then high ticket offers, right? Making tons of money from high ticket offers. Another reason why I like high ticket offers is not just that it makes the most money, it also gets the best results, right? Because anybody who's being honest in the course business will tell you that probably less than 5% of people complete the course. If they're not completing the course, they're not getting results. And out of those people that complete the course, usually like less than 1% get results, which is sad, right? And it's not necessarily the course creator's fault, right? They might have created the best course ever. It just sucks spending hundreds of hours looking at a course on your own, right? What actually gets people results is coaching programs and high ticket products, because it's not just the course. You're taking the course with other people that you can interact with, right? You have coaches that can give you feedback on things, people that can recognize your blind spots, people that you can ask questions to, you can jump on a call with, etc. And that's why there are coaching programs out there that have over 90% results, right? So over 90% versus like 1%. This is another reason why I like coaching programs and high ticket offers, is because they get way, way, way better results. Just as an example, for the B2B clients that we work with, we actually just did a kind of an analysis, and I believe we are getting 91.4% of them are getting an ROI within 6 months. Okay. So they are making all of their money back on the course within 6 months, or the coaching program within 6 months. 91.4%. If that was a course, it would probably be like 0.8% of the clients getting results, right? So 91.4% versus 0.8%. I think that's a lot better. But yeah, those are my 3 favorites. Also, membership is great if you want to upsell people to a high ticket product. Membership can be great. SaaS is good if you're a very advanced entrepreneur. It's not going to be good for 99% of people. And then sponsorships, if the right one comes along, you can definitely do that. I think I made last year, I don't want to say exactly how much because off the top of my head, but I think I made pretty close to $1 million in sponsorships. So sponsorships can be right for the right type of person. And yeah, you put all those things together, and you can be in a situation like this where you're making like $300,000+ a month. I am consistently making multiple 6 figures per month with my 2 different businesses. I have 2 different businesses that I've launched from my YouTube channels. One of them where I teach people how to get remote jobs. The other one where I teach people how to do what I did with the first business, which is to start profitable YouTube channels and build YouTube into a business, treat it like a business, right? And I'm making at least multiple 7 figures a year with both of them, right? I have some great resources down for you in the description and the pinned comment below. Definitely check those resources out. If you are a business owner, or if you are a YouTuber who wants to treat YouTube like a business, an agency owner, course creator, a coach, someone who does online services, that type of thing, monetize correctly, turn it into a business so you're not spending all of your time making YouTube videos and it just feels like this hamster wheel that you can never get off of, then go ahead, book a call with me down in the description and the pinned comment below, and let's talk about how we can work together and we can get that solved for you. Additionally, check out my video right here on how I was able to get my business to multiple 7 figures per year.